Welcome to this video lesson. My name is Vondre T. Whaley. I'm a 25-year veteran in the field of education, currently serve as a principal, and I'm excited. I'm excited because we have Principal Craig Washington. He's a 26-year veteran in the field of education. He's a principal at an amazing high school. And today, we're giving department leaders tips for using situational leadership. Hey, what's happening, Craig?
Hey, Vondre, thank you so much for having me on. Looking forward to having this dialogue with you about situational leadership and how we can help and support departments.
Let's go!
Hey, let's get this show on the road. As department leaders, it's very, very important at times to adjust your leadership style based on the situation. And that's situational, leadership. You have to be able to, go from one style, to the next to move your department
Absolutely.
forward. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. I love to say this to my staff all the time. It's about being able to monitor and adjust. And so that's the same thing that you need to think of as a leader. Be willing to be flexible, monitor and adjust based on the situation that you're facing and based on the needs of the individual that you're leading.
You can't have a one-track mind. If you have
Absolutely.
a one-track mind, it's going to mess up the entire department. People are going to lose trust in the department leader. They're going to begin to build coalitions against each other, and you're not going to be able to do what's best for kids. So you have to be a situational leader. As Craig stated, you have to be flexible. Today, we're going to discuss 7 tips for using situational leadership. And here's tip number 1: provide direction. Sometimes leadership boils down to giving instructions. That may be the case if your team is limited in terms of willingness or ability. What do you think about that, Craig?
Absolutely. And you got to know your team inside out. And it's about how you communicate. Effective communication is the key. If you're not an effective communication, it's going to kill you as a leader. So be an effective communicator and know your team. And that means to get to know who you are. What's your strength? What's your weaknesses? Because it's going to come up and it's going to haunt you as you develop your team and begin doing what you need to do to move and work towards your vision and your goal for your organization.
Let's say if you're a department leader and your principal gives you a directive. It's something that 9 times out of 10 maybe comes from the district office, something that has to be done. You have to be direct.
Absolutely. Being direct, getting straight to the point is going to be the key. No one wants a leader who's going to beat around the bush and who is uncertain. So it's very important for you to be very direct, but meaning being effective with that communication. Direct, but not being curt. Direct means getting to the point, telling them what the objective is, what goal we're trying to obtain, and monitoring that goal as you move forward, giving them constant feedback. That constant feedback is the way you build that trust piece too.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because, really, it's about providing information. Here's the information, that's, been provided to me. And now I'm sharing it with you all, and we have to move in this direction, based on, the directives given to us, from the principal. Now, that's based on the situation. That is based on the
Absolutely.
situation. That's why we're talking about situational leadership. Here's the second tip: offer coaching. At the same time, you may be able to offer more support and less direction as your team acquires greater experience and forms stronger relationships. Create a culture of constructive feedback, high standards, and ongoing learning. What do you think about that, Mr. Washington?
You can't be a leader without being a great coach. Great coaches and great leaders go hand in hand. So you've got to put your coaching hat on, be able to coach people, be able to motivate them, and get them moving in the right direction. Great leaders are coaches first. It's how you speak, how you direct, how you communicate, with others that allows you to be able to get your point across and be able to accomplish your goals. And that's the key to being successful as a leader, and also for your organization to be successful. If your people are successful, you're successful as a leader.
And here's what every department leader needs to understand. You have been selected to serve as department leader for a reason. So what that means, that means you have a certain set of skills that your principal and administrators believe, you can move, your department forward. So with that experience, you have to be able to transcend that to your team by coaching. Coaching involves listening. Coaching involves providing resources. Coaching involves providing feedback. And all of that builds the culture of your department. So if you're a department leader, put me in the game, coach. You're a coach.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned listening. As a leader, you've got to be able to listen. You've got to be able to listen, gather that information, and be able to process that information and make a decision based on that information you receive. Sometimes you can make that decision right on the spot, but a lot of times you may have to sit back, reflect, and make that decision based on all of that information you gathered, but also keeping in mind students are first. That's the key. Students are first. And as a leader, you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to go out there, and you're not going to get it perfect, but I always believe do something. Sitting back and doing nothing is not going to help move your organization in the right direction. So do something, but listen, then make a decision, then move forward.
Here's a question that you have to answer as a department leader. Am I coaching my team? Am I coaching my team? The next question that you have to answer is, am I seen as the coach of my team?
There's a big difference between being a coach and being a manager. A manager tells you what to do, how to do it, when to do it. But a coach allows you to be able to develop the answers and come to a solution, and they're allowing you to grow. So I think of coaches as being the individuals who have a growth mindset. So coaches grow, managers just direct. But we want in our schools, we need people who are going to coach and develop leaders who are going to continue to lead. And teachers have to be able to lead in the classroom and be able to think outside the box in the classroom, because they're going to come into situations that they may be unsure of. But with the right coaching, they're prepared to come up with a solution that's going to help move student achievement forward.
Good stuff. Let's go to the third tip. The third tip. And I like this one. Delegate responsibility. Identify which tasks you need to do yourself and which you can hand over to someone else. This may include recurring activities or those that give team members a chance to upgrade their skills. What do you think about that, Craig?
Sometimes for high performing leaders, delegating is something that's tough. I've got to tell you, I've been in this game for 26 years, but I still struggle sometimes with delegating certain tasks. But you've got to be willing to delegate and allow the people who you are supervising to grow. It's going to give them an opportunity. Yeah, they may make some mistakes, but if you supervise them from a distance, allowing them to have the right tools, giving them the right type of preparation for those tasks that are ahead, they're going to make you real proud. And so you got to give them a chance. Put them in the game. Let them play. And they're going to come back and do some awesome things for you because you've allowed them to have those opportunities. And most importantly, you trust them.
If you are the department leader, you cannot do it all by yourself.
No way.
You
No way.
need help.
You
And
got
here's
to.
the other thing. Here's the other thing, Craig. If you delegate responsibilities, that leads to ownership.
Everyone has to take a vested interest in the forward movement and the continuous growth of the organization. So, as a department head, if you are delegating and you're holding individuals accountable, we're talking about delegating, but you've got to hold people accountable, and you've got to do some checks and balances. Those checks may be subtle checks. Hey, how's that project going? Can you talk me to through where you're at with that project? Do you have questions? During this process, what are some things that you saw were limiters? Have that dialogue with the individuals that you're coaching and preparing, and that you're delegating those tasks out to. As you are delegating those tasks and you're doing your proper coaching, you're going to see some remarkable results. And that's the key. We're talking about getting results. As department heads, as leaders, we're talking about results.
A department leader may delegate someone on the team to, during a meeting, come up with a unique teaching strategy that's working in their class. So
Absolutely.
during the meeting, you're going to share a concept that you've used in your classroom to share with everyone else.
And
I had
that's
that
a
opportunity,
way.
even if it's only 3 to 5 minutes. That makes me feel good because I'm contributing.
Exactly.
Now, I have ownership. What are some other tasks that a department leader may delegate?
It may be just the delegating of department leaders to allow someone within that department to mentor a new teacher coming in. That is huge. To not be the department head and be mentoring new people in your department, but being able to say, hey, I'm going to pull you to mentor this new teacher because I've got a lot of faith in you. I love what you do in the classroom. I've seen
Mhm.
what you've done in the classroom, and I like the direction you're going. You're building capacity within your department. And so if you continue building that capacity, your department's going to stay strong. And on top of your department being strong, you can continue to get the results that you need. And those results are based on the results you'll be getting with student achievement. And that's what we're here for. We're here for the kids. We're here to support those students, making sure that they learn as much as possible and that they're achieving their goals.
So the challenge for department leaders is to find more ways to delegate, become a better delegator. The next tip, which is our fourth tip, is earn trust. Even if your role carries a high level of authority, and as a department leader, you have a high level of authority, it's beneficial to build trust. A team is more likely to succeed if they feel secure and respected. Strive to be consistent and objective. Communicate openly and take responsibility for your decisions. Can we talk about trust a little bit, Craig?
Hey, without trust, you have nothing. And that is just the fact of where you are. People work for individuals that they trust. And if they trust you, they'll do anything for you. If they trust you, they don't mind following your lead because at the end of the day, if things don't go well, they know you're going to be right there with them every step of the way to work out whatever needs to be worked out so that you can reach your goal. So, trust is a must. So, as a leader, having that trust, having that support, along with that ability to be able to learn from each other is the key to you moving forward.
Your team members on your department have to know and believe that you care about them. Now,
Absolutely.
a big part of building trust is communication. A
Absolutely.
big part of building trust is providing support, being available support. A big
That
part,
support is everything at the end
right?
of the day, Vondre, because if you're not a leader who supports their people, you're not going to have people who are willing to follow you.
And that's the bottom line. So you have to, self-reflect. You know, as the department leader, do my team members trust me? And if the answer is yes, great. Continue, doing things and initiatives to build trust. If not, what are some things that I can do to build trust? And one thing, like I said, communication. Imagine if you
Absolutely.
department leader, you having, one-on-one meetings with every member of your department and say, hey, you know, I like this about, teaching style. You know, I think maybe we can try this and that may help out, students out. So now as a team member, hey, my department leader values, something that I'm giving to the department. And then now I have the expectations of what to work, toward. So all that, makes a difference and ultimately builds trust.
Absolutely. And you said it, earlier, communication. And all of this is about communicating, but effective communication. And you've got to get to know the people within your department. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And how do you best communicate with them to get them to open up, to be transparent with you, as well as you being transparent with them? Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
Here's our next tip. And this is tip number 5. Set an example. What does your behavior say about your character and abilities? Your team will notice what you do as well as what you say. Honor your commitments and work on your listening skills. What do you feel about setting that example?
It's that old saying. I'm pretty sure you've heard it before. Do as I say, but not as I do. You've got to set the example. And if you're saying, "Hey, my expectations are that you're teaching from bell to bell," when I come out of your classroom and your department head, you're teaching from bell to bell. If my expectations are that the lesson plans are posted and standards are posted on the board, you're going to come by my classroom if I'm the department head, and you're going to see that posted. Expectation of grades are up to date every week. My grades are up to date. You're going to see my grades are up to date. So setting the example is going to be key. You cannot expect people to do what you're not willing to do. And if you are expecting people to do what you're not willing to do and you're a leader, you're in the wrong field. Um, you got to go back, rethink that, and revamp your philosophy. Lead by example. That's the only way to lead.
That's huge. That's huge. Because as department leader, your team is always looking at you.
Yes,
What you're doing in the classroom, what time you come to work, what you're doing duty, turning
absolutely.
in lesson plans, even what you wear. They're always watching you, and you have to set the example. And another big thing here is, you know, your department is going to take on your persona. They're going to take on your ideas because you're the leader, and you want to be that example for them.
Absolutely. And, it's all about what kind of legacy you want to leave behind as a leader. So think about that. If you're no longer in that position tomorrow, what is the legacy that you're leaving behind? Is it a legacy that you be proud of? Is it a legacy that you would be proud that people share? So at the end of the day, lead by example. It's the only way to lead.
Here is the next tip. It's tip number 6. Build personal relationships. Meaningful connections and shared goals turn a group of individuals into a team. As the department leader, it's important to establish rapport and show appreciation. Stay positive and approachable. And that's what we've been talking about, right, Craig? Building
Absolutely.
relationships. Can you give us some feedback on that one?
You know, Without great relationships with the people that you supervise, it's difficult for them to be able to communicate with you. It's difficult for you to be able to communicate with them or provide them instruction or provide them feedback. At the end of the day, who wants feedback from a person they don't trust or from a person that they don't have a relationship with? That relationship piece is a must. You want to have a department head or supervisor who you can come into that office, you can have dialogue with and say, "Hey, I'm having trouble in this particular area. I'm not adept in this particular area. How can you guide me or show me where I can get the guidance needed so that I can move up to the level that is required, to the expectation that's required by the organization?" So having that open communication, knowing something about the people you supervise, whether it is that hey, Jim just had a baby. How is that going to affect Jim and his work performance, or how might that affect his coming and his going? Being able to congratulate people or individuals. Someone just recently got engaged. Being able to just be personal and know that beyond these walls, they have a life beyond that, and being able to acknowledge that, but also being able to maintain that level of professionalism, but being human. It's about that human touch, that human factor to let people know, hey, I care about what's going on with you. I care about what's happening with you. And at the end of the day, we're family.
Here's the thing: if you build relationships with your team and they know that you care about them, you paid attention to the little details, you paid attention to the big details, what's going on in their personal lives. They know that you
Absolutely.
care. They feel that they have a great relationship with you as the department leader. Then they work even harder for our young people. And at the end of the day, as you stated, that's what it's all about. It's about
Absolutely.
servicing our kids and helping them grow academically, helping them grow as individuals. And it all starts with the role of department leader. You can have a strong department, a very strong department, if you are intentional about building those relationships. Here's tip number 7. Tip number 7 is to identify talent. Who are the shining stars on your team? Create future leaders by spotting talent and nurturing it. Pay attention to potential along with current performance so you'll be prepared for emerging needs and opportunities. What do you feel about identifying talent?
you know, if you've got talent that's come into your department, you've got to be able to cultivate that talent. The thing about talent is, if you don't cultivate it and if you don't grow that talent, I guarantee you someone else is going to spot that talent and they'll get that talent from you and they'll
Yes.
cultivate it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So don't allow someone who's got great talent to sit on the bench. Get them in the game, get them working for kids.
Hey, enough said. You have to identify talent and give them opportunities to lead. Man, Craig, I thank you for talking to us a little bit today about situational leadership. Can you give us your final thoughts, Craig?
Vondre, I'm just going to say in closing, the key to being successful as a department leader is the 7 things that you just mentioned. And if you can stay focused on those 7 particular goals that we outlined, there's no way that your department and you won't be successful. Stay the course.
Thank you, department leaders. Let's go out and let's change the world for young people.
Absolutely.